I guess I'll go ahead and just get started talking about stuff so people can catch up. I'll probably post on YouTube again so people can catch up later if they need to. Um, but yeah, I'm good. Oh, teaches a rapid rate. Yeah. Yeah, it's always a bummer. I remember in classes like for me it was always like Spanish class, certain things like that where I'd like just cram right before the exam and like try to just remember everything, and I probably remember most of it for about a day and a half, and then it just completely disappeared. So sometimes that seems like very wasteful. Um, so anyway, so yeah, I've been busy on my end. As I mentioned last week, for those of you who were here, like the big thing I've been working on is getting Google Play accounts in the game working with all the V2 stuff. So most of you are probably familiar with the V2 stuff, but it's all the new stuff if you go to ballistica.net for, if you're playing Bomb Squad or one of the new Ballistica builds, all this stuff like workspaces and devices and all these tools you can use to like mod the game and like newer versions of the game. Those all require like V2 accounts, they're called. So I'm signed in with my V2 account here. You get the little like V2 icon. Um, but the big thing I've been working on is trying to get Google Play logins on Android kind of upgraded to be V2 accounts. So far, to get a V2 account, you had to kind of sign up for one with like an email and a password, which is still totally a legit way to do it. But what is this? Oh no! Hello. Uh oh, someone not know their. Okay. Anyone who wants to say anything, honestly, like please unmute yourself and like say hello or whatever. I'll mute you if it seems like you accidentally are unmuted. Um, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah. So V2 accounts. So the up until now we only people who like sign up for V2 accounts have gotten them. So I have my little like account list here. This isn't a very good thing, but this shows how many V2 accounts there are. And right now there's 20,539 of them. The last person made one 10 minutes ago. Oh, they didn't give themselves a name. They're still no name. I always I'm kind of like spying on people to just see if they're setting their names and whatnot, because the system will like assign you a no name tag. So V2 accounts, like you have a globally unique name. So every V2 account has a unique name or a tag, but it'll assign you like a no name tag by default. But then it should be like annoying you to change it. Oh, we got another non-muted person. Burp, 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 burp. Oh, nope, never mind. So, ah, whoops. What have I done? All right. Wait, how do I get out of this weird view? Oh, there we go. Okay, so anyway, my big goal this week or last week or two has been getting Google Play accounts to just like automatically give you a V2 account. And so as of last night, there should be test builds up on Google Play that have that enabled. So I'll go ahead and let's see. I have my test build here. See if I can just. I couldn't. Oh, actually, maybe I can. Let's see if this works. I just downloaded an app that should let me like stream Android to my screen here. Of course, I haven't registered it, but. All right. How does this work? This is an older Android phone, so I have to like. Usually they have like that cast thing right at the top, but not this one. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Aha, casting. Cast X Mirage. Okay. It's not casting. Disconnect and try that again. Still not working. Okay. All right, I'm not paying for this program. I'll try one more time. Okay, it works up until there, but then I switch the game. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so you can see, so here's the Android version, and I don't know if you can tell, but so there's the standard like sign in with Google Play button, which has always been there, but now if you press it, it should sign you in with a V2 account. So the first time you do it, like when you initially sign in, it might take a few seconds, but then you should get this. So you should have a V2 icon, and it should take your Google Play name and like try to reserve a name for you. It might have to add like numbers at the end or something like that. But you can go in there. The thing with this is all V2 accounts, you can customize their names. So once you are registered, then you can just go into manage account. This will kick you over to ballistica.net. This is just the account editor. And then here, there's a bug. Right now, it won't let you change your name for one day. I need to fix that so that it, like when you register a new Google Play account, it will let you change your name like once immediately or something like that. But at the moment, you'll probably get something like this, like where it says your tag can be changed in one day. Later on, I'll have to think about this. Like later on, I feel like I probably will make that a larger number, or I'd be curious to get your opinions on that. In general, like I don't want people to be changing their tags all the time. Like it would be great for people to like pick a tag and kind of stick with it, just so we can like identify people by their tags and people aren't causing mischief by changing their tags a lot. I mean, I guess, or we could just let people change it as much as they want and see how that works. I don't know, but we'll get people's opinions on that. But anyway, so yeah, I'm signed in with the V2 account here, and you see you can have access to all your standard stuff. Like if I go to devices, yeah, then I can see going to the console. So here I can see like the, this is all like Python output for, this is my screen capture. I'm like, where'd the running game go? Like this is the running game. So yeah, so that is V2 accounts with Google Play. It doesn't have the Google Play icon anymore, so probably all accounts will just be the V2 icon. We can experiment with that later. Like once all accounts are kind of moved over to V2, then maybe we can do like different custom account icons. Oh, cool! I can, if I move my phone, you can see like the little fake like distortion effect. But anyway, so that's the big exciting news. Is that V2 accounts should now be working on Android Google Play builds. The one caveat is I haven't released this to the general public yet. I mean, there's a number of caveats, but if you want to play with this, go to so I have a kind of a test channel on Google Play where you can like sign up to get test builds. So if you're just running an Android phone, you're not hacking around or anything, you can just sign up for the test builds, and then you'll get like early builds of Bomb Squad. They might be a little unstable or missing features or whatnot, but if that's something you're interested in, I just added a link to that. So if you go to ballistica.net and go to downloads, you should see here's like the test builds that you can get and server builds, and then down here I put a link to the Google Play Open Testing. So if you come into here, you can basically just register your account and say like, hey, I want to be a tester. And then you'll start getting test builds of the game. So if you sign up to be a tester, you should get the latest build, which is 1.7.14. And that's the one that has like V2 accounts for Google Play. So if any of you are feeling brave, if you want to give that a try, the main thing I want to test, like I want to be absolutely sure of, is that you're not losing any of your existing data. So like if any of you have like a Google Play account and you have a bunch of characters or progress or whatever, sign in, make sure it signs you in as V2, but then, I can't click on this. This is just showing my Android device. But then, come in and make sure your player profiles and all that stuff that you still expect to be there is still there, like all of your old data. Because I just want to be really, really sure about that before I release this to the general public, because then it's going to be like bajillions of people upgrading their accounts at the same time, and so I just want to make sure that everything's working well. On a side note, I also like completely upgraded the Google Play sign-in software, or like the libraries that it uses to sign into like Google Play. I originally added those like way back when I launched the game in like 2013 or something like that. Oh no, trial version is closing after 55 seconds. Well, that's that's good because I'm done demoing that. So thank you, trial version. Close this out. But yeah, I had originally added Google Play logins to the game back in like 2013, and that was using like a really old version of like the sign-in libraries. So I upgraded all that to using like the latest and greatest. So hopefully there's, you know, maybe they're less buggy, or there's hopefully less weird corner cases where, you know, sign-in isn't working or things like that. So just, yeah, basically anyone who wants to give that a try, just please let me know. Just post here and anywhere on Discord, or email me at support@frumling.net, or any of the standard ways to get a hold of me. Or if you just want to post in office hours, you know, I'll usually see stuff in there, or in general, or whatever. But yeah, so exciting stuff. Join the BS testing. Testing program. It should, if you missed it, it's just ballistica.net. Downloads. Okay, yeah, go to ballistica.net, go to downloads, and there's a sign up link for the Google Play testing. So if you do that, then if you just go to Google Play on your phone, it should tell you like you are a tester, or you're getting test builds or something like that. So you can turn that off and on anytime you want. And yeah, so normally like testing is not, like being in the test program is not actually that scary. Usually it just means you're going to get like updates to the game maybe like a few hours or like a day before other people. So it's usually just like an upside. But in cases like this is probably, you know, this build definitely needs a bit more like love and polishing before I release it to the world. So, you know, sometimes you'll get stuff that's a little bit, you know, edgy. But again, I, you know, just want to be doubly sure with this one that everything's working well with the Google Play stuff. Okay, I'm curious what you're talking about with the black screen, but let me know if that keeps up. FPS limit. I haven't had a time to look at that. Like right now, this update is probably just only about this Google Play thing, because this is such a big thing. I just want to make sure to give it enough attention. Like there's a number of pull requests and things that are outstanding on like the GitHub that people have been doing, like the cool, you know, like ping counter option and stuff like that. I haven't pulled those in yet. I'm gonna, as soon as, I just want to make sure this stuff is, like I said, as bulletproof as possible. And then probably in the next update, I'll pull some of those in, and there's a few other things I want to do polish wise. But for right now, my only focus right now is this V2 Google Play stuff. And it is actually kind of exciting because as I'm going through the code, once, you know, if any of you are like looking into the code, it's a little bit weird in the game. Like if you're looking at the Python code, because basically the game is signing you into like 2 different accounts at the same time. So it signs you into like the V2 server with your V2 account, but then that kind of automatically signs you into the V1 server, like the old master server, with, you know, a V1 account. So it's essentially like doing 2 things at the same time. And it'll be good to like get everyone onto the V2 stuff, because then I can start to like clear out some of the V1 stuff. It's just really, it's kind of ugly to have like two different account systems running at once. I mean, it's fine. It'll be fine for a while, but I'm excited. This will kind of put us over the hump and get more people using the new accounts, and then we can like slowly start phasing out the old ones. So I'll probably, I'm thinking, I was thinking that maybe it could be good to kind of push people along to V2 accounts as fast, not as fast as possible, but we could start kind of giving people reminders, like if you sign into a device account. On a side note, like, yeah, certain account types, like device accounts, will not get V2 features. So if you come in here and, so I'm signed in with a V2 account right now. So yeah, this is the V2 account. It's just called a Bomb Squad account right here. Might rename it later, or I don't know. call it an email password account. But yeah, but then there's this old one, sign in with device account, and this just, you know, signs you in where you get, it should give me a name here in a second, I think, maybe. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't recognize. I'd have to check on that. Usually it would be called like Mac5953 or something. In most cases for you guys, it would be like Android 999953321, you know, like a really ugly big number. But these accounts, these are only V1 accounts. So when you're doing this, it's signing you into like the V1 side, the V1 server, but it's not signing you into the V2 server. So certain things like, you know, like workspaces and all that, the cool stuff and the upcoming stuff like the squad system, like none of that will work. So that's another reason I want to get people kind of moving on to V2 accounts instead of V1 accounts, is then you can use, you know, both the new stuff and the old stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe in the next version or sometime soon, I might like give people a warning if you're signed in here saying like, hey, please upgrade your account. And what you can do is you can create a V2 account and then you can link it to your old account. So if you want to keep your old V1 data, you can still totally do that. I might just, maybe I'll make a web page just kind of going over how to do that so people don't lose stuff. So yeah, let me sign back out into my, I am Ephro, sign me in. Okay. Oh yeah, and then the other new thing in this build, I showed it, but I didn't really mention it specifically, is this manage account button is now enabled. So on any account, if you're signed into a V2 account, you can just poke this and it will sign you into a web browser and then let you, you know, access your account here. So you can change your tag or whatever. And on a normal account where you have like an email and a password, you can just, you know, you can sign in that way on the website directly if you want. But if you're signed in with Google Play, because you can't use your Google Play account to sign into a website, even though it is like technically your Google account, they don't support like web access. So to edit your account that way, you just have to go in the game, hit manage account, and then it'll kick you out to a browser with, you know, your Google Play account signed in. Another thing I should mention is I will be adding like account linking for V2 accounts. So that will all be like on this page. So like if you go to edit your V2 account, like there'll be like a logins section showing like the different ways you can log in. So, you know, for this account, basically I can only log in using my email and a password. And for a Google Play account, you can only log in, you know, using Google Play through the app. But it will be possible to kind of combine those so that you have one account and you can log in, you know, either way. I need, like, that's on my my immediate to-do list. Basically I wanted to get the app into a good place where it has like these login features, and then I have a list of to-do items on the server side, like supporting, you know, like account linking and stuff like that. I can show you my to-do list here. Where did it go? So here's my to-do list. See, so this is the stuff I wanted to get done for the game, for the actual like client app. And then I guess I call them stretch goals, but these are basically all things that I want to do on the server. So, you know, one of the biggest things is account linking. So if you may notice that when you're signed in here, there's still like this link accounts stuff in the game, and this still works, but I would caution you against doing this on V2 accounts, because what this is doing is it's linking V1 accounts only. And this probably sounds super confusing, but again, if you remember, when the game signs you into a V2 account, you're signed in on the V2 server and with a different account on the V1 server. And so you can link different logins to your V1 account, which means like you can log in using, you know, say a device or another device or Google Play, and that'll log you into a V1 account. But I want to upgrade it so you can use different logins to log into the same V2 account. So again, it's a little confusing about the difference there, but basically going forward, you shouldn't use the account linking stuff in the game anymore, unless you know what you're doing, unless you have a reason to, like you want to link some V1 accounts together. But in the future, I will probably hide this UI. I'll probably make it like inaccessible unless you like flip an option, like an advanced option to like show old linking UI or something. But going forward, like all account linking will happen through this like V2 web page. And I also want to make account linking a little bit smarter. It'll be a bit more restricted in some ways. Like a lot of people, as I've mentioned before, a lot of people use account linking to kind of like link up with a bunch of friends so you can play more tournament games or, get a higher league score for the season, stuff like that. But I really want to discourage that. And for some stuff, like when squads stuff is up and running, you won't be able to log in twice with the same account. So like different friends will have to have their own accounts. So if you link with a friend, that means like only one of you would be able to play at the same time. So please don't link V2 accounts with your friends, because it just leads to a lot of cases where people like accidentally link with someone who steals their account or things like that, and then it's just like it's a pain for me to handle because I don't know who's telling the truth and who stole whose account and stuff like that. So it's just like, please don't don't link with other people. But again, I totally understood it for like V1 stuff because it wound up being a way for people to kind of like make clans in a way, or like a small group of friends, playing with the same score essentially. All right, so yeah, that's largely the updates for V2 stuff. So there's Bleeding Edge V2 support for Google Play now. So please let me know if you're running into any problems with that, and then I will just be working on kind of server side stuff and kind of cleaning it up and then getting the build polished and released. One other thing, there's when you're signed in with Google Play, normally there's like buttons here to like show your Google Play achievements and like the Google Play UIs. Those aren't in there yet. I need to get those wired up again. I don't even know if people really use those, or like the Google Play leaderboards. They're kind of like separate from the game leaderboards, but I'll make them available in case people like them. So that's that. That's the big updates for the game this week. As I said, it'll be continuing on probably a few more days of work to get that stuff in place and get an official release out there, but it's getting very close. All right, I'll try to answer some questions here. Will dependencies allow for internal texture replacements like for boxing gloves? So yeah, so there's the new dependency system coming up in 1.8, which is basically instead of all textures needing to be installed on your device, the game will download textures and models and things like that, as needed. And I mean, I'm sure stuff like this will be possible. This is a little, it's kind of hard to say. Like, I'm sure we can make it possible. It should be. Yeah, it's a good question on whether you'll be able to just like swap out your local textures, or whether you'd have to like mod the script and like override the texture paths to point at different ones. It could be, because yeah, that is a fun thing, is like just to like edit the game's built-in textures, like even if they have the same name or whatever, just replace them with custom versions that you made. It's kind of like a fun way to like mod your own game. I remember playing like Warcraft 2 back in the day on my old PC back in the 90s or whatever, and yeah, like that was fun to do. It's just like edit the wave files or whatever the audio files were, just to make the characters say stupid stuff. Or people always did that with Doom or other popular games, just like change the existing stuff to be different. So I would think that would be possible. I want to have the game kind of maybe still have a special class of like built-in stuff that it treats differently from like the asset package stuff. And so at least that stuff I think would be probably overridable. And probably with enough hacking, you could probably override like asset pack textures. But I'll have a better answer for that like as 1.8 gets a little closer and I'm kind of like feeling out how this stuff is working. Going to be a way to just disable online play or all online functionality when you build Ballistica. Yeah, so this is actually, well, I mean, you should be able to, if you're modding something, you should just be able to like not give links to, any of the online UIs. Or I do want to, like, part of the squad system coming up in 1.9, I want to have like a mode or something that the game switches into where it's like squads mode or something like that. And that will do certain things. Like it's going to turn off the ability for anyone to like join your copy of the game. Like it'll basically stop listening over the network for joiners. So there might be things like that where you'd like flip some of those options if you want to like lock down the game and be like, hey, this is only single player. aside from that, yeah, I think just not exposing that functionality in your UI, just like overriding a custom main menu for yourself, and not giving any way to get to like the gather section or the join section. And yeah, another thing, yeah, along those same lines, like I do want to kind of split out. I am, even though I don't have like solid plans for this, I do want to kind of support the idea of different like flavors of the game. Like I've talked a bit about like a VR or an AR version of the game where it would essentially be the same engine, most of the same stuff, but it would essentially be a different game. And so clearly, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want people hosting one of those games. I wouldn't want that to show up for regular Bomb Squad players. So for at least like the V2 networking stuff, the squad stuff, there'll be a sense of like flavors or some sort of way to say like, hey, I'm hosting this type of game right now. I only want people to see who are specifically looking for this type of game. And that'll, as I said, that'll definitely come into play more with things like AR, or if there was a game where it was like a specific like one-handed handheld version or something like that, where it's like a completely different like input style, like you wouldn't want people joining that with like a controller or something like that. We want to make sure that even though it's technically the same engine, we want to keep people kind of cordoned off into their areas that they should be in. So yeah, and I mean, on that idea of like kind of making different games, I mean that was largely a lot of my inspiration for doing all this in the first place. Is I think I was talking about this the other week. Is that what I found with making games like this, there's so much just like busy work, and so much just like setting stuff up, and even like putting a game on the App Store or Google Play or something like that, just setting up all the metadata and the screenshots and all this stuff. It's just like that is so much work. I just wanted to make something where like I can kind of make this framework, and we can kind of use that same framework to make different mini games. I just don't want to have to bother with setting up all that metadata for different games. So that's why like a big motivation for me is like I want to be able to experiment and in the future maybe make different game types, but kind of do them under the umbrella of this stuff. But it'd be great also, like if you have a little umbrella game, like a little mini game or something that completely changes the game mechanics. Like I do want it to be possible to take that and like package it up and have that be like a standalone game, and throw that on the store as a separate thing or something like that. Like that would be cool. All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Why can hard mode be unlocked only in pro mode? That is hopefully that'll be going away at some point. I've mentioned before, like my goal is I would like the game to be, a lot of good games out there like Fortnite and games that have been very successful that basically are purely cosmetic stuff for how they make their money. And I do have to make money. I do have to pay bills, unfortunately. And so right now there is some kind of stuff that I'm not happy about, like things that are hidden behind pro, which I'd like to not block functionality for people. I'd like for people to be able to like play the whole game, and then cosmetic stuff seems like a fair trade-off, where it's like, yeah, you want to get a cool shiny thing, that's a good reason to pay for something. But I don't like making the game less fun or making the game less, like removing gameplay from the game. Like I hate doing that. But at the same time, it's also like, I was looking at my stats and stuff. At some point, like the game started dropping in terms of like what the income was. And at some point then I put more stuff behind pro, and then that got the income back up again to a comfortable level and stuff. So it is necessary at times. But again, with 1.8 and like downloadable assets and things like that, I'm hoping that just doing purely cosmetic stuff will be enough to keep me paying bills and all that. So I'm hoping to rip out some of the other things. Also, like the continues system, I hate that. That feels so dirty. But yeah, I'd like the game to move to being basically cosmetics. And there's standard like free to play stuff where like you might have to wait to like open a chest or something like that. Unless you want to like pay a few tokens or whatever. little annoyances like that, where it's just like making you wait to unlock cosmetic stuff if you're not paying. Um, but yeah, trying to. That's been a big thing on my mind. Like ever since I switched the game to free, like free to play back in, I forgot when that was, like 2013. I think when I launched on Google Play, it's it's kind of like tricky to come up with a system where it's like you can actually get people to pay for the stuff, but it's also a system that's fair and not too, like there's so many. We've all seen like the free to play games out there where it's just like totally sleazy, where it's like, oh, you can play for a while, and then suddenly it's like complete paywall, pay to win. Like you can't proceed unless you start shelling out a ton of money. Like I don't know, some stuff just feels so sleazy. So it's tricky to kind of like avoid the sleaze and try to find something that feels honest. And I think cosmetic stuff feels pretty good. So I'm hoping, like I said, as the squad system and asset packs come online, to move most of the game to just being like downloading cool character skins and other little bells and whistles and stuff like that. Where is coffee? Oh, coffee is right here. There is always coffee. Sorry, I haven't been drinking enough. Been talking too much talking, not enough coffee drinking. Going with the Zelda cup again this week. I should switch it up to the Eric Lego cup, or I have other cups. Maybe I need to start diversifying. Yeah, that's an interesting topic too, like battle passes. I and I do. Well, yeah. Again, I need to go over like my whole plan for the cosmetic stuff. Like I was thinking of having some sort of like battle pass system, hopefully not too sleazy. Um, because I want to try to basically I want to try to have all characters like be unlocked with currency you can like win in the game. Um, I'd rather not like directly be purchasing characters with money, so it's like I don't want to give like, well, I shouldn't go into this too much, but basically I'm trying to think of a way where a battle pass type thing could work, or could provide some fun to people without being too like limiting or too sleazy. So, but anyway, that's a different topic. I shouldn't get into all that right now. In my mind, well, just to go into it a tiny bit, like the one thing I think battle passes can do, I was trying to think of a way where like, so basically going stepping back for a second, I want the game to kind of work in two, or the new economy. I'd like that to work in like two scenarios. One is like a free to play, for where most of the people are, where it's like it's kind of like pay as you go, and then the other is, I guess like I should say like the base system would be something like a subscription model. Like if the game were on like Apple Arcade, or if the game were just purely paid, like someone just pays up front or has a subscription or something, and then the game has like no in-app purchases. So it's like basically a premium game at that point. So I'd like the game to like work as that, but then also have like a free version where it's essentially, you don't get advantages by playing the free version. So it's not like you can pay like $30 and get some cool unlockable thing that the paid version wouldn't get. So I would want the free to play version to basically be like a pay as you go version of the premium version. So it doesn't feel sleazy. And so I was thinking of something like a battle pass system, where there's something where the free people could unlock a battle pass or something like that, where it would like immediately give you, say, a few characters that you've built up enough experience to get, or something like that. So like the fun thing there is it would be some like immediate way to unlock something. Whereas like the paid players would just automatically, or the people playing on the subscription services, or the people who just paid for the game up front, they would just automatically always have the battle pass. So it would just be kind of like another way to do kind of a pay as you go version of the paid version. I probably didn't describe that well. Again, I need to put this down in writing. Like I have this whole like kind of idea where, I think it could work in those two situations, and I kind of feel like maybe some limited form of like a battle pass thing could be fun. So anyway, sorry, I'm probably boring you all with this weird random musing. yeah, yeah. Again, it's something we'll have to talk about, and like the thing I want to avoid is like the free to play thing where it's like unreasonable grinding, where you expect someone to like pay money to get something, and then players who don't pay that money have to grind for like an unrealistic amount of time. Like I definitely don't want any situation like that. Um, which is why I was saying that I'd like all characters and things like that to be unlocked with only in-game currency, like only currency you've. So even if you are playing the free to play version, you can't just like skip the line. You still have to kind of grind a bit, um, and that will help like keep the grinds like realistic or keep the grinds like reasonable and like a fun amount of grinding and not a trying to turn the screws until you pay money kind of grinding. But again, okay. I must really stop talking about economy stuff right now. Everyone will get bored and leave. It's okay. I do want to talk about that more like later because I want to like I want to be honest about like income and stuff or the economy and coming up with a system that feels fair to people and feels like enjoyable and isn't sleazy feeling. Because for me, I'm like doing this game. It's like first and foremost, it's for because I like doing it. It's for fun. It's I want to make a game people are enjoying. This isn't. There's plenty of things I could be doing if it were if it were just about money or something. Going into like, I don't know, who knows? Other development type jobs you could get that would pay better. But it's like, this is about fun. Making money is necessary for living and all that. And if I made enough where I could think about like hiring a dev team or something, I mean, I'm not going to complain there. But first and foremost, it's like I'd rather the game be enjoyed than make a crap ton of money or something. So, all right, let's see what other questions or things are people talking about. But yeah, everyone check out Bombing Over It and other stuff Mickey Rock's done. It's yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day, just saying like how it's super cool how people have taken like the engine and like distorted it and like done crazy things that it wasn't intended to do. It's always neat to see that with people do that. You see that with like old computers or old video games, like people making crazy demos on like a Commodore 64 that it completely blows away the actual stuff that people were doing on it back when it was like top of the line. So it's neat to just see people like kind of take a set of limitations and push them. All right, so why can hard mode be unlocked only in pro mode? So that it went into my my random rant on cosmetics. You still playing Bomb Squad with your friends? Not as much as I should be. Like most of my Bomb Squad playing was like the prime is when I was like working on the game, probably back in like 2011 or 2012. Like back then I'd like have a lot of get-togethers with friends and whatnot, and so we'd play. Like back then we were still doing like kind of not LAN parties, but we'd get people together and play big, like multiplayer Halo games and stuff like that. Get like 4 TVs and 16 people and all this crazy stuff. So Bomb Squad kind of arose from those situations, kind of became something to play between rounds of Halo at those kind of parties and stuff. So I used to play. That's kind of why it was like a local multiplayer first sort of thing. Like it didn't technically even have online multiplayer or even like networked multiplayer until version I think maybe 1.4. So 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 were all just like local multiplayer. That was back when it was only on Mac. So that was mostly like it was super useful to play with friends because I think it's like you can see how it works and see what needs to be improved and things like that. And I feel bad that I have not played it enough online. So like the existing system, I'm sure there's a lot of blind spots I have in terms of like, oh, this is really annoying. And I'm sure there's stuff that I know too that that I am aware of that I think is really is really annoying in terms of like some of that is what I want to fix with like the squad system. Some of it, like when you play online, just the fact that it's random servers, people jumping in and jumping out, it's like kind of chaotic and it's not really, I want to improve that situation. Have competitive stuff be more possible. And also it's like kind of the standard things people do with game, or the standard things games do now, where it's basically just like invite some friends to a squad and play against other squads, that kind of stuff. So So I do want to, like, as I'm implementing that, I definitely want to be like dog fooding, as they call it, dog fooding that. I want to be playing more just to see what is fun and what's not fun, and trying to make it more fun. Um, so that's a long answer to that question. Is that no, I've not been playing enough lately. Um, though there is like so much work I've been doing in terms of like server stuff and all that. It's like I feel like which I really enjoy doing it, but it kind of keeps me from spending too much time playing lately. Um, oh yeah, so yeah, if anyone missed it, if anyone who came later, I added a section under the download section on Ballistica.net. Go to downloads, and then yeah, you can sign up for Google Play Open Testing here. Anyone with an Android phone, so you'll get the latest test build, which will let you sign in. You should be able to sign in with your Google Play account there, and that'll give you a V2 account. So it'll try to preserve your Google Play name as close as it can. If not, you can change it in the tag editor. But yeah, basically once this rolls out, then we should have most Google Play players should be running V2 accounts, which will be super exciting. And yeah, you should get something like that. It'll say like beta, so you'll know you're running kind of test builds. And again, one more thing is, if you are on this test system, usually all that means realistically is that you're going to get builds of the game maybe a few hours to like a day or two before other people do. Usually whenever I push out updates, I push it to the beta group or the test group, and then I will push it out to like 5% of actual players, and then I'll just let it sit for a while, and I'll like check logs and make sure it's not like crashing horrifically and destroying worlds. And if it's not, then I'll crank it up and release it like to everyone. But it just means if you're in this beta group, you're going to get builds before most people do, which is usually a good thing, but occasionally it could be a bad thing too. So you're kind of the canary in the coal mine, as they call it. Okay, how complete is Bomb Squad in terms of gameplay? Should we expect to see new gameplay content in the future? I really hope so. Like, I know I've talked about this before, where I feel like the game, I do feel bad the game has not changed. I mean, modders like you and other people have done great work with tweaking the rules and improving the rules, but the core game itself hasn't changed gameplay wise in a while. Like, I've been basically working on all this back end stuff, like cleaning up the Python and working on cloud servers and stuff like that. But I really do want to get to a point, and hopefully that'll be part of 1.8, want to get to a point where we can evolve that in a safe way, like have completely different sets of nodes, kind of just start to get more experimental with it, like move away from like the exact strict set of power-ups that are kind of baked into the game right now, kind of generalize some of that. And so yeah, there's a few big pieces to that, like the like scene versions that I've been talking about in 1.8, like that'll be a big thing, which basically means we can start to like experiment with different sets of nodes completely and different attributes, and just really start to like mutate stuff more without breaking like all the bajillions of existing servers and games that are out there, because they'll still be able to use the old scene version, but then we can like experiment with new scene versions. So that's part of it, and another part of it will be cloud servers. So if we can make it really easy to just host a cloud server, maybe you could like a cloud server with mods or whatnot, then theoretically you could even modify some of like the C++ code, or maybe even we'll have to see like how far you can go, like how much you can modify a server and still like clients will be able to connect to it gracefully. I'll have to go into some of this more later, but yeah, I definitely I don't have super specific plans as far as like what I would want to do, but I really want to make that possible for other people, and also for myself. I'd like to be able to kind of move the game away from like the current set of nodes and exact stuff that it has right now. Are people not seeing the update? It should be. I pushed one out there. Oh, let me check. So Google Play has been weird lately. Like sometimes stuff is, oh poo. Okay. Update status in review. This might still be even the last night's build. Go to testing here. So I pushed out a build last night. You can see build 20931. Oh, that's also in review. So, bummer. Okay. Yeah. So, never mind. If you sign up for testing, you won't see a new build because there isn't a new build. But as soon as this gets out of review, then it will be available. Boo. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, traditionally, Google Play has been very quick in terms of like if I upload a new version of the app, it's traditionally been available to people like within an hour or so. Like there seems like there's a little bit of processing time or something. I'm sure it's distributing it to their edge servers or whatever they do. But lately, like the past few months, there's been more cases where stuff like sits in review for a few days, or I think the longest one here lately was it was like 3 or 4 days or something like that. So I'm not sure like if they're actually like looking over stuff closely or if they have some automated thing that's happening or what. I mean, I guess this one does have some like slightly bigger changes. So maybe that like triggers some automatic, human review or something like that. But anyway, hopefully it won't take too long. So yeah, this build will hopefully be showing up soon. I'm wondering if I can. I wonder if there's any way to have this automatically like ping Discord or something like that. The same way you can do with like GitHub. Why does Kronk say potato? It wasn't intended to be potato. It was just I was making like random like Arnold sounding noises, and I think literally I hit record and I just started like recording garbage, just like garbling random stuff, and then just chopping little bits of it out, and that became Kronk's noises. And one of them just happens to sound like potato or potato. Just tell about security measures. Okay, security measures. Let's see. Okay, so what this call is doing in terms of security, so the game, when you sign into your account, the game establishes a secure communication channel with the server. So everything is encrypted that goes up to the V2 master server. And I'm also being very strict with, like, I'm pretty sure it should be pretty secure. It always does like server-side verification. So whenever you sign in now with Google Play, what it does is it basically like requests an access token from Google. Like it signs you into your phone, requests a token from Google to kind of prove that you are you. It sends that token to my server, and then my server, sends that token to Google to verify, like, hey, is this person who they say they are? And then Google tells me that you are. So then, we have a kind of secure communication at that point between the game and the master server. And so then when you press like the manage account button, basically you're sending a request to the master server through that secure channel saying like, hey, give me a code, like a one-time use code. And then that winds up being like a URL. So it's like a one-time use URL that then gets opened locally on the phone. The server allows it to use one time. That basically will sign you into the browser. So it should be secure. Like I said, it's verifying that you are who you are, in server-side communication with Google, and then from that point on, it trusts you, and it'll send you a code that will log you into your browser. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I'm trying to just be very careful with the V2 stuff because there's on V1, there's a lot of, I don't want to talk about it too much, give people ideas, but there's a lot of ways people could wind up spoofing other accounts and things like that. So I definitely want to cut all that out with V2. So we have the email password stuff, which I think that's implemented pretty securely. There's the two-factor authentication option, which is kind of simple, but basically it'll send you an email to ask if you're signing in. And you can, you have to click that email to confirm it. So if you want to be extra secure with your account, turn that on. So under account settings, it's right here, two-factor authentication. I can look into, like wiring up one of the, 2FA apps or something like that to make that process easier. But this is, it's janky, but it works. So that's for email-based logins. But for Google Play logins, like I said, I am talking to Google's server whenever you log in. So it should be it would be a pretty tricky thing to spoof someone else's account in that case. So hope that answers your question. So yeah, so basically this call will essentially, if the server knows that it's you, it will send you a one-time use URL essentially to sign into a browser. And yeah, if any of that seems insecure, you can see like ways people might abuse something like that, please holler. One thing I was actually thinking about is when you do this, when you press the, like I'll have to think about, this is on my like potentially to-do list, is when you come in here and you're signed into V2, I was thinking like if you're playing on a TV or something, you might want to like hit manage account and have that show a QR code or something to where you could use your phone to sign in. But then I thought like that would not be good to do by default, because if you're like live streaming or something, then anyone can scan that QR code and sign in as you real quick. So I'll have to think about, like maybe this could bring up a dialog that has two buttons. One is like open browser and the second one is like show QR code or something, if you know that is safe. So something to think about. So tokens are, again, tokens are personalized to like your local install in a way that is hopefully not easy to fake or reproduce or something. So if you send, like you'll see that data, it exists in like the game's config, or one of the static files that stores on disk. But if you send that to someone else, they should not be able to use it. If someone's nefarious enough, they could like hack the binary and hack that data, and like there's, theoretically they could maybe come up with some way to, I'll have to think about that, like if it would technically be possible at all. But it should be highly infeasible, hopefully impossible. But yeah, long story short is anytime you're using a token, it does some verification to make sure you are you. Like you're running on the same device that you got the token on and stuff like that. So there's a number of methods, and I put like a placeholder in there on my server to kind of like do more verification. So I might add stuff, like one thing, it could do like location-based verification or IP-based verification or different options. But basically I have a single entry point anytime you're accessing a V2 account, where I can see like, okay, they are signed in from here with such and such info. This is their IP. This is the location I'm getting for them. Do I allow them? Right now, in most cases, I am just saying like allow, but we could always add options here where it's like, increased security or something. Like if it sees you're signing in from a new location, it would, or a new IP even, then it could require you to sign in again. We'd have to balance that with convenience, because a lot of people are going to be signing in from like a new IP every time they, pick up their phone. Like if your DHCP, gives you a different IP address, like we probably don't want to make people sign in again every time. They should be able to recycle their token then, but maybe we want that option, if you're being like extra security conscious. Potatoed up. Yes, we should incorporate potatoes in some other ways. It's kind of like the whole potato thing is taking on a life of its own. Will dependency system allow for local mods similar to what plugins are doing currently, but with custom assets? I want to keep that open. I like if people. Yeah, I'm not sure if there'll just be like two ways to load an asset. Like one is just through local files, like it does currently, and then the second one is through the purely like cloud-based dependency stuff. Yeah, because yeah, people are just like who are hacking around and stuff. It might be easier to just leave that option open, where it's just like you have the option of just loading a file by file name from the local disk or something. Um, that being said, I do want asset packages and stuff like that to be as easy to work with as possible, to where people aren't scared to use those. But but yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'll try to keep that open as an option. Also, a thing in the back of my mind, I haven't gotten there yet, but I do want the game to be. I do at some point want you to be able to like fully compile the game from open source without using any of the internal stuff. Like even if that disables a swath of features, like basically all the account system and cloud communication and all that stuff. And in order for that to work, like the game would have to be able to access just local assets and not be talking to the server for asset packages and stuff. So, I do think there does need to be some local simple option available. Um, I hope to get there at some point soon. I made some big strides there about a month or two ago in terms of just getting to the point where we can compile without the internal library, but not quite there yet. So hopefully it's not really relevant to any of the roadmap, like the 1.8, 1.9, 2.0, but it's still something I want to do. So I hope to take a little time and get that doable. I think that could just get more people interested in the engine and stuff if you can just completely work with it without having to use the internal black box part. So yeah, so I'll definitely keep all that in mind in terms of modding and stuff. Oh yes, REST API. I know I'm bad. That's still on my to-do list. It's tricky to know like where to prioritize stuff on the to-do list. Right now, the V2 logins, Google Play V2 logins are like absolute number one. As I mentioned, I still have like various to-do things related to those. It's like a lot of this little stuff. I can hopefully chew through a lot of this like in the next day or two. But yeah. But yeah, I'd like to get at least like a basic, REST API in there. I'm trying to read up a bit about like how that should work in terms of verification or things like that. So I don't know, like there's OAuth and all that fancy stuff. I'm not sure if I should like implement some fancy thing like that or just have some kind of janky but simple thing. Or yeah, it's still kind of, if you have any opinions on that, let me know. So, well, thanks for the questions. Yep, let's see. Yeah, this is an interesting point too, talking about like, what I'd love to see is people being able to kind of define power-ups more easily, like having a, kind of a template or a framework. Here, Smoothie, I don't know if that's you, but hearing some background noises. But having like a template code for making plugins or making, power-ups, which I think would be great, in terms of like letting people experiment with different power-ups and stuff. But I think it's also a good point that, from a gameplay perspective, it's like you don't want to have too many power-ups or too many options or kind of dilute things too much. So, there would probably maybe still be like an official set of, a small number of them or something like that. I always remember playing like fighting games back in the day, like Street Fighter 2 and stuff like that, or the original Mortal Kombat, which had like 7 fighters, 7 players you could play at. And it always seemed to me like, a sequel would come out and it would add like, 7 more or something. Now you're up to like 15 fighters. And I remember like for Mortal Kombat 2, I still like remembered every single move for like every player in the game or every character, or mostly every move, I think. I definitely remember them all from Mortal Kombat 1. But then like Mortal Kombat 3 came out and there's like 30 characters or something like that. And at some point, yeah, I think this is a natural thing games do, where it's like you add more and more stuff, more options, more characters, more this and that. But it's like, I also feel like at some point that becomes overwhelming and just dilutes things, and things become less like unique then. So in terms of like, it would be fun to make it easy to make different power-ups, but also at the same time, I think it would be, you know, probably having the core game like stick to a certain number of power-ups. Like maybe maybe the power-ups could like change as seasons progress or something like that, but maybe keeping them limited to a default number or something. Is it a JRMP thing? Oh, you have something where like what you can pick up a head and throw it at someone? Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I've seen that. It's funny. Yeah, it's a good idea. Like that could be something. I know I mentioned this before too, but at some point it would be great to kind of start pulling in some ideas that people have come up with that work well. Like that one sounds funny. Like if you fly up in the air and you land on someone, it just like kills them. Yeah, that does sound like fun. So yeah, again, the hopefully the scene versions stuff in 1.8 will let us kind of start experimenting with more stuff like that, while also maybe leaving the existing version of the game working or whatever. Let's see. Oh, here's a good question. What inspired you to create Bomb Squad with clay characters and real scenery? Um, so originally, maybe some of you have seen screenshots. I need to dig them up, but the game originally did not have clay characters and real scenery. It was just like hand painted textures and whatnot, and they looked okay, but it was a lot of work, and I kind of made the game for fun. I didn't have a ton of time to spend on making everything look great, and so like I wasn't super excited with the look of the game. It just looked like it looked like a game. Um, and also at the time I was still working at Pixar, and so like I'd spend all my days working on fancy renders and things like that. All the computer graphic stuff at Pixar, like each frame of one of those movies takes like 6 hours for the computer to render, like even on modern machines and stuff. Like they keep getting more and more complex. And people put so much time into like making all the models and the textures and like everything in those movies. Like so much time and energy goes into making something that looks real. It's very hard in CG to make something that looks real. Um, and so in a way, like the clay stuff, the clay look and the real life look, part of it was actually just a shortcut, just to be like, hey, like if I make something out of clay or out of blocks on my desk, like it might not look like super slick and awesome and fancy, but it looks real, like if I take photographs of it and like recreate it in 3D, like at least it generally looks real. And so it was kind of, part of it was just a shortcut because I'm one person and I didn't have a ton of time to spend on game assets. Part of it was just a way to get some like decent looking stuff like decently quickly. Um, and plus I like that look too, like being into animation and whatnot. I like claymation and stop motion and Nightmare Before Christmas and all the old claymation movies that I used to be, or that I'm still enjoy. So it's kind of a homage to that kind of stuff. So it's kind of two reasons. I think it's a fun and kind of unique look, and then two, it kind of saved some time. Though at the end of the day, like it does still take quite a while to adapt, as I'm sure some of you have found out, to adapt a bunch of photos into a 3D model. Like it's a decent amount of work. It's getting interesting now with like AI based stuff and things that can kind of do that automatically. I'm kind of keeping my eyes on that stuff to maybe there's something we could incorporate, or some library we could make a little app to make it easier to kind of take one little clay creation on your desk and make a game model out of it. Wait, rename Coffee with Eric? Did someone rename Coffee with Eric? What? Oh. Oh, I didn't. Conversations with Eric. Oh, I'm not sure who did that. That wasn't me. There's still... Did someone rename it because I didn't show my coffee enough? Oh, dear. But no, it's still Coffee with Eric. That's our name. Oh, UI? Merp. Cool. My one immediate thought, like this stuff looks very readable. Like my first thought is like this red is kind of hard to read on the background. I would like maybe if you darkened the black a little bit or made this like a lighter color. Like that's the one thing, like just my first thought is that it's hard to read that red. But aside from that, like everything looks good to me. Cool. I think it's always good with, I think it's good to ask people's opinions on stuff like that. Like when you have a UI or just anything in general is, just getting someone to like give you their quick first impression of it. Like you see it and like, what's the first thing you think, because that's something I found working in movies and also in games and stuff like that is like when you're working on something for hours and hours and staring at it, it's so hard to like judge it after that. It starts to look good sometimes. I remember back at Pixar, there were shots that I'd be working on where I was just, I had to show it to the director like the next morning. And so I'd be working on it for like hours and hours the day before, like sometimes like late into the night. And I remember like by the end of the night, sometimes I would be thinking like, wow, this looks really good. Like, I think I'm happy with this. I'm going to go home and let this render and I'll go home. And then I would come in the morning, like before I had to show it to the director, and I'd look at it and be like, oh my God, this is so ugly. It's just like having that's another thing that helps too, is like stepping away from something for a while and then like, come back to it and look at it again. It's like it immediately, you kind of see it for its true self for just a brief moment. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this looks terrible. So it always, that was kind of funny when that happened. Of course, then I felt bad because I had to show something I didn't like to the director then. So cool. So yeah, I hope that little bit of feedback was useful. Did I get rickrolled sometime? No, I don't think I've been rickrolled. Of course, people are going to take that as a challenge now. Do you have access to actions log? What are you referring to by that? Bug reports. Yes, I know there's... As you can see here, I am quite behind in my Discording. There's a terrible large number of red circles everywhere. I'll try to kind of blow through some of those after this is over. But I've been kind of in heads down mode this last week or two, just trying to get this Google Play stuff done. So much like... Oh man, the server-side stuff was tricky. Like that's always kind of a pain is, basically when you sign in, like I said, it talks to... Like your phone talks to Google and says like, hey Google, give me a little token or something that proves that I am me. And Google sends you that, and then your phone sends that to like my master server, and then my master server has to send that to Google. And like getting all that stuff to work, like getting it to like send that to Google in the right form and ask the right questions and whatever, and verify that you are you, like that stuff is always, not always, but it's kind of a pain to get it working. It's like, why is this not, it keeps rejecting me and stuff. And then you finally get it working. It's like the happiest feeling ever, but it does take a while sometimes. Just all this server side stuff. But I am feeling good. Like if logins are working well for people, the V2 login stuff, like I'll be very happy because we'll be in a much more secure place. So yeah, so there's, as I mentioned, there's a bit more to do with the V2 stuff. I'll be working on that this week. And then it's, I do want to do REST API stuff and a few other things I was talking about, but some of those are kind of independent of the game. So we will largely be, I think, done with 1.7 at this point, which is kind of exciting, which then means we can start, I can start tearing stuff apart for 1.8, which is where I think things will start to get really fun. I know 1.7's been out for quite a while already, so it's, I know people ask, like, oh, how long is 1.8 going to take? And we're still technically, on 1.7 now, so things take time, but going as fast as I can. Well, on that note, I'm about out of stuff to show. Does anyone have any other topics you want to bring up or things we can chat about? Or otherwise, maybe we can call it early today. Like I said, I'll try to go through some of this old stuff, and I'll probably be lurking in, the Office Hours channel just to see if anyone has any feedback on, the game. Once Google finally releases it, just message me there or whatever. How fast do I type or other people? Oh, Bomb Squad Nintendo DS Lite Edition? Oh, I don't know. I haven't actually measured. That's a good question. Let's see. I type about this fast. I'm not sure if that is good or bad. Blah, blah. So, I'm sure there's an online thing I can measure, like words per second or something like that. But I never actually took a proper typing course, so I was just kind of like self-taught. So there's probably still a few things I'm doing wrong. How about you? Do any of y'all like measure your typing skills? I remember playing like StarCraft and Warcraft, and like it was always like APM was the big thing, actions per minute or whatever. Everyone had like their APM number. Oh yeah, but anyway, yeah, DS Lite. I'm thinking probably if I ported a Nintendo, which would be fun, it'd probably be Switch. I think the Switch is like, so many people have asked for the Switch. I'm curious, like, I don't know, like DS probably has an older development kit and stuff too. That's something that kind of interesting. Like if you look through the source code for Bomb Squad, it's using some like C++ 17, like kind of some newer versions of like C++ stuff. And I know all this stuff is like not public knowledge, but like I think like some of the developer kits for like older systems, like maybe DS or something, probably don't support some of that new stuff, so it could be more challenging. I would imagine like the latest gen systems like Switch and PS5 and all that stuff, you can probably use, super modern C++. But I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done it. Press shift with pinky. I think so. What do you press it with? Yeah, I think over time I had a few bad habits. Like at one point I got one of those like ergonomic like split keyboards, and that informed me of some things I was doing like really wrong. Like I was typing like there'd be like one key where I had to like move my hand to the other side of the ergo keyboard, and so clearly I was using the wrong finger for that key. So that actually like kind of fixed a few of my problems, I think. But I generally use all my fingers. I don't think like for numbers and certain special characters, because coding, like there's certain things you use a lot, so I probably hit those without looking. But I still think there's probably too many keys that I have to like look down for. But in general, though, I feel like I assume I'm as fast as I'll ever get. I'm probably slowing down. They say like, I know they say I know I've read for going back to like professional like StarCraft players and people, they say like once you're in your 30s or something, like you're out of your prime because like your fingers are physically slowing down a little bit. Like they can't move as fast as when you're younger. So it's like I'm probably at that point where I physically can't probably type as fast as I theoretically could have when I was like 25 or something. Arrogant. I'm totally getting old. So I don't feel old though. So young at heart. Whenever anyone asks like how old I am, I'm like, oh, I was 23 when I started writing Bomb Squad, but or whatever. But that was a while ago. Do you do some accidents sometimes on Bomb Squad? What sort of accidents are we talking? like like playing accidents or coding accidents? Because I think it's yes to all of the above. 300 charge per minute. That sounds pretty good. 47? No. No, not that old. Oh, geez, marriage plans. Oh, man. Well, I have a wonderful girlfriend, and we've been together for a while, but yeah, I can't. I'll have to. If I have marriage plans, I probably would have to announce them to her first. Like, hey, babe, guess what? I announced on Discord we're getting married. See, I have like facial hair now, so that photo's like 2018 or something. It's a few years out of date. Plus, it was pre-COVID, so I feel like I've put on a little weight. Hopefully I don't look too much different, but I have my COVID weight now. Yes, I'm never gonna answer my age anymore. I'm just gonna be like, I was 23 when I started writing Bomb Squad. I'm gonna be like 90 in a hospital, like on my deathbed. They'll ask me like my age. I'll be like, I was 23 when I started writing Bomb Squad. Where did this photo come from? What the heck? "37 year closer," but I love this little like free falling spaz dude. Yeah, I was doing some Discord. My girlfriend was like watching Discord, and she was disappointed she didn't see any of whatever this is. She was like, "Where's the shocked Eric face?" So yeah, so I'm happy to see it show up again. What the heck? Is that just spaz with no eyes, or is that like modified? Oh no, that's not spaz. That's a totally different. What am I looking at? Yeah, that's. What even is that? Cool, cool, cool. All right, folks. Well, I think I might call it a day then. If anyone has any last questions, otherwise, I'm actually pretty excited to kind of start chewing through some of this stuff. Um, it feels like right on the edge of getting this stuff out. I know probably live too dangerously sometimes, and I don't let test builds like just exist for long enough to just get bugs out. I probably push things to the full world too soon, but it's fun to live dangerously. But I'd still like to, as I said, I want to make sure that this stuff is working well. I don't want to like destroy everyone's progress and things like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have nightmares about whatever this is. Oh, is that ninja with no eyes? I'm trying. Weird. Or a watermelon? A CAT scan, like what the inside of your head looks like? I don't even know. And so yeah. Last repeat update for anyone who missed it earlier. There is test builds for 1.7.14. The big one is the Google Play one, so there's now a link for that. You can sign up to test that if you want, though it's not yet available, seemingly. Hopefully Google will finish reviewing that, whatever that means, and then that will show up for people. So yeah, that's kind of a big one for Google Play people. So it lets Google Play people use all of our cool V2 tools and all that. And hopefully it works perfectly for everyone. Hooray! How many times do you use Stack Overflow every week? It depends on what I'm doing. I don't know. I feel like there's certain type of problems where it's like I wind up just Googling them and like Stack Overflow is the first answer. So I probably used it a lot last week because I was trying to do that server side stuff, where it's like getting my server to talk to Google's server and like verify the Google Play Games token that the client sent me. So stuff like that is like looking for like how do I use Python to send an OAuth blah blah blah. So yeah, probably Stack Overflow helped with that. But yeah, I'm sure on average probably the same as everyone else. It's like probably a few times a week or something. Cool. All right, on that note, I guess I will call it a day for now. So I'll get this up on YouTube if anyone wants to check the highlights. Not that there's too many highlights today, but yeah. And again, hopefully that Google Play build comes through soon. Just hang out on Discord or ping me if you try it out and run into any problems, because just want to get that working as good as possible, and then on to the next thing. So, once every 5 minutes. It's true. I admit it. I live on Stack Overflow. So, all right. Well, peace out, everyone. Have a good day. See you next time.